The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hi there, and welcome from Studio 27 in Sacramento, California, and from our other panelists across the U.S. to today's webinar, Soar to New Customer Heights with Virtual Call Center Technology, sponsored by Contactual and hosted by WebAttract, the leading end-to-end provider for informational webinars. Hi, I'm Mike Agron, the executive webinar producer with WebAttract, and I'll be your moderator and one of your hosts for today's session, and would like to thank you for joining us. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with Contactual, they are a Silicon Valley company, and they have a singular focus on delivering a SaaS-based solution for virtual call centers. And what they do is they provide their clients big cost savings over on-premise solutions with fast and scalable deployment that's easy to use. But today we're going to be hearing from a couple of featured experts, Wendell Black and John Bocelli, and what they're going to do is share their insights and best practices as they explore the many operational advantages achieved by leveraging on-demand contact center technology. You also have an opportunity to have your questions answered at the end of today's session during our Ask the Experts panel session. We're delighted to have a diverse audience, and primarily from the U.S., and we also have some folks registered from outside the U.S., so special thanks to you for joining us. And we'd like to tell you a little bit about who's here. We've invited you along with other professionals such as CTOs, CIOs, customer service support services individuals in a variety of industries that you see represented on the screen. And regardless of your role or industry affiliation, we're confident that you're going to find value in today's webinar. Well, to get started and to give us a sense of where you and your fellow audience members are, I'm now going to launch the first of our polls. And so if you would take a look at your screen and go ahead and choose which one of these applies. And in describing your experience with virtual call center technology, have you never heard of it? Have you heard of it and would like to know more? Are you currently researching? Are you actively planning to implement, or you're already using it? I'll keep the poll open for just another moment, and then we're going to bring on the first of our featured thought leaders, which is Wendell. And let's go ahead and share the results. And there we have the results, and I'm sure that's going to be very helpful to both Wendell and John when they come on to speak with you. Our first presenter and thought leader is Wendell Black, and Wendell is the VP of Worldwide Marketing for Contactual. And Wendell's going to be on in just a moment to provide a brief overview of the industry trends and challenges and what he's seeing going on, particularly around the compelling value proposition for the virtual contact call center market. A little background on Wendell. He joined Contactual in June of 2010, and he leads all their domestic and international marketing initiatives. Now, prior to Contactual, he was the vice president, Contact Center Anywhere for Oracle, and for 4 years prior to Oracle, he was president of worldwide sales and marketing for Telephony at Work, which was the original developer of Contact Center Anywhere, and with the rest of the management team, joined Oracle when they sold it in 2006. So welcome. I'm now going to bring you up to the podium and welcome you to the webinar. We're absolutely delighted to have you, and I'll now turn the mic over to you.
Well, Mike, thank you, and welcome to everybody for joining our session today. Just a quick comment on the poll. I think it's very exciting, the result there, that this is something you've heard of and are potentially researching at this time. This is a hot space in the contact center environment, and we're excited you're here with us. So let's talk about some industry challenges that are going on in the contact center space just to start off with. The contact center market is a constantly changing environment, and seen a lot of change over the 25 years I've been involved here, with many internal and external forces that come to bear. As an organization, you and along with everyone else in business are probably hit with financial challenges these days, and a constant pressure to lower your cost of delivering service and generating value for your company. These impact you from customer side, is they're constantly trying to change the rules on how service is delivered and their access to information that you need to provide. Customers are also looking for more options on how they can do business with you on their own terms. And today this takes its form in multi-channel communications that they might want to use different days and different ways in getting access to you and asking for information. At the same time, your competition is knocking on your customers' doors and your prospects' doors, compelling you to keep up with the rate of innovation in a competitive marketplace. With these concerns, many contact center managers feel trapped in a premise-based technology paradigm that makes it difficult for them to innovate and change as rapidly as they need to in order that they might keep up. Today, we want to share some of the deployment success that can show you how to overcome these challenges. The deployment of virtual contact centers is kind of centered to this evolution. In considering the key components that might encourage one to consider getting on this bandwagon are the following benefits that may be able to be derived or pressures that might weigh on you. Starting at the top of the clock, capitalizing on a flexible workforce can make a big difference in your efficiency and effectiveness. Since labor cost is one of the biggest expenses for most contact centers, using your labor more effectively is a big driver on your success. Leveraging flexible staffing along with work at home and other remote or virtual options can help you to maximize this area. A virtual contact center really helps you realize benefits in terms of flexibility. This approach can also open up your contact center to a wider pool of agents. You'll have the ability to recruit top talent without geographic boundaries, and this flexibility allows you to find better specialized skills such as language or professional certifications more easily across a broader geography, but still centralizing it into a common queue and work organization. Agents that work in a flexible mode are happier and generally stay around longer too. This contributes to the trend to continually increase agent productivity. Agents are challenged and motivated to improve their performance and retain their working relationship with you when they get a work at home kind of an option. As a result, managers find that agent turnover is greatly reduced, so you have more experienced agents working with your customers. Their increased tenure and experience helps them to serve customer needs more efficiently and raise your productivity. Customers want to also choose their method of communication, and that means you need to offer an integrated way to route phone, email, chat, and other communication choices through a common queue. Setup and administration needs to be easy so that you can change as your customers' desires change. You want to look for a solution that leverages a single provisioning interface for all the media you want to offer to your customers so that you can keep things easy. Agents can become experts in one or more contact methods. Furthermore, you can drive customers to use lower cost channels and maybe even self-service over time.
Wendell, it's Mike. We often hear from many contact center users that adding multi-channel support is expensive and time-consuming. What's your response to those types of questions and concerns?
Mike, many people in the industry have horror stories of how they took a Lego kind of an approach to bolting different vendor systems and technologies together to deliver a multi-channel solution. Bottom line is that if you want to avoid that, you need to look for a system that has pre-integrated the media for both provisioning and for agent use. Then you get fast time to market and a low cost of operations for this customer-centric kind of service approach. Another thing that's driving a lot of things, in our business practices these days is the focus on green strategies. Reducing carbon footprint for companies is a driver for a lot of people. Just being environmentally conscious and friendly is important for everybody. Moving agents from the office to home-based workers can save you money, not only in the heating, air conditioning, lighting, floor space. It can also save your agents money. So reductions in commuting costs, and other approaches and the way they work and deliver solutions, are beneficial to you and to your employees. So everybody wins when you think about, virtual workforce and going green, being able to not only be beneficial to the environment, but also save money in the process. By moving your applications to the on-demand delivery model, you're also able to significantly reduce your investments in office infrastructure and the server farms of depreciating hardware that many of us have had in the past. You'll also find that you need less IT and systems integrations resources in order to run your operation. Another kind of tangential benefit and something that we find as a delivery solution is disaster recovery is maybe an alternative to other multiple implementations of premise equipment. In the old days, you needed a fully redundant call center located in some other location to be able to ensure business continuity. Cloud-based solutions allow you to send workers home or realign traffic and be able to provide remote solutions in a disaster recovery or business continuity strategy. You can execute these changes at the departmental level, not at the IT or phone company level, and gives you a lot of control on your business. I find that a picture helps to illustrate what this model looks like and how it works to provide a lower cost, more flexible, and easier to manage solution. So let's take a look at this. Solutions of this type go under many labels: hosted, on-demand, SaaS or software as a service, and cloud-based. The labels have changed over time, but the concept is still the same. It starts with a centralized technology located in a data center, which provides for secure and reliable platforms supporting multiple customers in a cost-sharing environment. That's why hosting provides economic benefits over customer premise solutions or single-tenant managed offerings. Customers contact your agents by making phone or internet requests that are routed through the hosting center to your agents regardless of where or how they are working and what kind of phones they might be using. In this environment, you get access to the legacy phones that are probably on your desk today, the ability to access voice over IP phones or even soft phones that run on your PC. You can even use your sales cell phones if you have a mobile or virtual workforce requirement. Coupling a phone with a browser on the computer desktop, you now have a fully integrated and productive workforce that can serve your customer needs.
So, Wendell, does a solution like this work with customers' existing systems, and does it support home-based workers at the same time? I mean, I think that's a question many of us would have too.
Yeah, Mike, that's a great question, and it was key really in the system design of our solution. You might call this an overlay solution for an existing phone system, as they can continue to be used for administrative features while the contact center application is moved to the hosting center. Moving the control of the call routing from any individual site to the hosting center allows for an easier routing of work to a multitude of agent locations, like home-based. Furthermore, this removes all the barriers of managing multiple systems. Regardless if you are at one site or many-site, calls can be delivered to agents that are on different systems in different locations, as well as use a variety of telephony solutions to do so. So voice over IP or home-based plain old telephones or soft phones running on an agent's computer or cell phones, as I mentioned, can all be a viable way to get the right work to the right person to be able to take care of your customer. When you're considering a move to a solution like this, remember what some of your original motivations might have been. A lower cost of operation, a speed and ease of deployment, and the ongoing changes being easy to manage and something you can do at the departmental level, and the ability to deliver an easy-to-use system to your agents while at the same time a rich customer experience. The really good news is that in this case, you can have your cake and eat it too.
I like that. So, Wendell, what are the economics of a SaaS solution, and how have contact centers actually been deploying these over the years?
Mike, I'm glad you asked, and our next slide gives you an illustration of the two different sets of drivers. This approach to your business provides you with both a very attractive total cost of ownership, or TCO, while at the same time delivering a great return on investment. Considering you can avoid substantial infrastructure costs, don't have to leverage an army of consultants in order to get the deployment completed, and you end up with a solution that your contact center staff can manage on their own, your costs will be substantially less than that of premise-based alternatives. On the opposite side of the equation, deployment time is measured in a matter of days for an on-demand versus months or longer for other solutions. It means a faster time to money or a faster time to savings. Working at home solutions can also lower your operating costs and provide for a flex staffing to better utilize the labor when you need it. A prepackaged multimedia solution allows you to be able to serve your customers how they want to be served, and you don't have to become a systems integrator in order to do that. Out-of-the-box integrations with other demand solutions like NetSuite or Salesforce.com in the CRM category help you deliver customer information with the call, with the email or chat, without having to suffer a long service engagement in order to get there. So before we move on to the case study, Mike, I think we have another poll question for the audience.
Yes, we do. And folks, based on the trends we just heard from Wendell, I'm going to launch a poll. And we'd like you to answer which of the following best describes the distribution of your agent population. And thank you so much, Wendell. I know we're going to have you back in a bit, and we'll be bringing John on after this. So I'll let everybody vote on this, and we'll have you back in just a little bit, Wendell. So it looks like 30% of all agents are located in a single site. 37% of agents are on multiple sites, but in the same continent, such as North America. 33% of agents are on multiple sites around the world. Very helpful. Very interesting. Okay. Now, for those of you that may have just joined us, we just heard from Wendell Black of Contactual. And Wendell shared his thoughts on the current trends and opportunities for the virtual contact center. Now it's time for our featured case study, and we're going to hear from John Bocelli of TradeCard, who's going to discuss how they've harnessed the power of virtual call center technology that allowed them to gain improved visibility into their global call centers. And he's also going to share his insights, results, lessons learned around this very successful implementation. A little bit about John. He's the Vice President of Global Technology Infrastructure at TradeCard, and he's got the responsibility for global IT service and support delivery. John has transformed the way information is shared and communicated across TradeCard's organization as the company has doubled its employee headcount and customer network in the past 5 years. John, delighted to have you join us for the webinar. Welcome, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks for inviting me today to discuss TradeCard's experience with Contactual. I'd like to begin by providing a little background info on TradeCard and what we do. TradeCard is a supply chain collaboration platform connecting buyers, suppliers, and service providers. Our platform and services help our customers reduce transaction costs and cycle times and provide greater visibility into their transactions. TradeCard has 5,000 customers in 60 countries. We're a global organization with a global customer base. And as a global organization, 24/7 customer service is really key to our success.
So I'll bring up the business drivers for you to talk about, John.
Okay, Mike. So our global support organization needed a platform to meet their current and future customer service requirements. Some of the requirements that they identified included 24/7 follow-the-sun coverage, flexibility, with the ability for our agents to work from almost anywhere, high availability SLA. We wanted something that offered at least a 99.9% uptime. So basically, IT partnered with the global support organization to find the right solution. We let the business side drive the requirements, and IT helped evaluate and ultimately identify the solution.
So, John, what were some of the things that prompted you to look for a change in the ways you were, at the time, serving your customers?
Well, Mike, as TradeCard continued to grow, we realized that our current contact center solution wouldn't be able to meet our customer service requirements going forward. We needed a highly reliable, flexible platform that would enable us to facilitate a continual service improvement.
Well, let's now bring up your next topic and talk about some of the technology challenges.
Sure, Mike. So, our previous solution was based on a collection of on-premise systems and some third-party applications. The solution really was difficult to manage. It was disconnected, it was siloed, and it really made getting consolidated metrics and reporting almost impossible. The previous solution, again, the lack of flexibility inherent to that solution, we couldn't easily transition our coverage to alternate support hubs or have agents work from other locations. One of the things that raised the cost of ownership and the operating costs, again, IT had to be involved in all phases of support and management of that system.
So with that, how did your old technology limit your business growth plans? What was the impact on that?
Well, again, Mike, our previous solution, it couldn't meet many of the requirements that were identified as key to this initiative. Some examples, again, it didn't provide us the flexibility to allow agents to work from home or other locations when needed. This was a big concern from a business continuity planning, disaster recovery perspective. It couldn't provide true follow-the-sun coverage, and again, this was a key element of this initiative. The previous solution, it was getting up there in age, so reliability started to become more of an issue.
So tell us how that impacted your business at TradeCard too.
Well, again, the previous system, it didn't allow us to offer effective 24/7 support, and this resulted in a less than optimal customer experience. Managing hardware and software in multiple locations across multiple time zones was really a challenge. And meeting the high priority SLA requirements that go along with the contact center, was also a challenge. And again, not to be redundant, but the lack of flexibility was really a problem. Business continuity planning and disaster recovery requirements could not easily be met with that previous solution. As an example, with our previous solution, if there were weather-related issues that prevented some of our agents from being able to get to one of our support hubs, we would have to reroute those calls using the PSTN or our provider. With Contactual, our agents can work from home using IP soft phones or their landline, and they're able to reroute calls on their own. There's no IT involvement required. They don't have to worry about contacting providers, so it's really a flexible solution.
Well, you mentioned working with IT, so what would you say from a technology perspective was the biggest limitation for your business as a result of what sounds like an old and flexible technology?
Well, again, Mike, TradeCard is a supply chain collaboration platform, and we do have customers in over 60 countries. Most of our customers are interacting with other customers across time zones. So providing true seamless 24/7 support in a follow-the-sun type configuration is really key to support our growth. Our previous solution didn't allow us to effectively manage customer service requests across multiple service hubs and time zones.
So let's talk about what your evaluation process was like.
Well, TradeCard is a software as a service solution, so our platform itself is delivered as software as a service. And, we believe in utilizing software as a service solutions for some of our core IT services. We feel that allows us to focus more on our core business. So we really asked the question when we were running through this evaluation, why not utilize SaaS for the contact center? What I sold the business side on was we decoupled the contact center application from the phone system, and it was kind of a paradigm shift, and we had to get the business users to really understand it. But once they did, they got it, And again, TradeCard is a NetSuite customer, and NetSuite uses Contactual, so they recommended it to us, and we felt that was a pretty good recommendation.
Well, within the evaluation process, what did you do or use to follow and narrow down the list of other virtual call center providers? How did you segment that down to choose who you ultimately went with?
Well, we used the multi-phased approach to evaluate potential solutions. We started out again by letting the business drive this initiative. So we identified the key business stakeholders, and we had them put together a list of their critical requirements and their nice-to-haves for this initiative. Based on these requirements, we created a weighted evaluation system, and we ran multiple on-premise and hosted solutions through to provide an objective evaluation. The final phase of our evaluation involved setting up pilot testing programs for some of the solutions we were considering. And we compiled feedback from the agents and managers that would actually be using the system on a day-to-day basis. So we really kept the business involved throughout.
All right, let's go down and talk a little bit more about your selection criteria.
Well, Mike, again, I think it really boils down to Contactual met our core requirements. From a reliability standpoint, they met the SLA requirements we were looking for. Flexibility, I've covered that multiple times already, but really, that's a great part of the solution. Our agents can work from almost anywhere. and they're able to reconfigure where they're working from on their own. CRM integration was obviously important to us, and Contactual integrated with NetSuite out of the box. And again, it was very low total cost of ownership. It was able to meet our core requirements at basically the lowest TCO of any solution we considered.
Other factors that you considered before choosing Contactual as your hosted call center solution that you can share with our audience?
Well, one of the other factors that was really attractive to us, Mike, was the short switch over time and the limited resources that were really required to make the switch from our previous solution to Contactual. We were able to implement and manage Contactual in a very short time without the need to undertake major retraining of our IT and business users.
So let's talk about the implementation process, John.
Sure, Mike. So, we rolled out Contactual in a little less than 1 month. We utilized a phased implementation. We basically rolled it out to one support hub at a time. And again, we were looking to just minimize disruption and make this transition as transparent to our customers as possible. The NetSuite portion of the implementation, that integration took a couple of hours, and we had that up and running. And one of the nice things, our business side users were able to quickly get up to speed with both implementing and managing Contactual, and they're currently capable of self-administering the Contactual platform.
And from a phased approach, were there particular phases that you used to implement this? And as you answer that, I'm sure other folks would like to know, what kind of issues, if any, did you face while switching over?
Well, again, not to be redundant, but we used a phased implementation here, and we did roll it out to our support hubs over a period of a little less than a month. And the whole idea here was, we wanted to roll out this new platform, but we wanted it to be transparent, and we really wanted to minimize any business disruption. The majority of our challenges really were change management, type issues. Even though the new platform offered significant process improvements and enhanced flexibility for our agents, change can be difficult. When users are accustomed to using a particular system or process, sometimes you have to really spend a little extra time managing that.
Well, let's get to the bottom line and talk about some of the results. I know they're pretty impressive, so I'll let you take this one.
Sure. So, again, Contactual met our core requirements. That's really the biggest result here. I can boil it down to that. Our customer service metrics, they've improved significantly. Our agent satisfaction has improved significantly. Our agents are very happy with the new platform. And, as Wendell had mentioned earlier, this really does help to aid in agent retention. We've been able to implement a true follow-the-sun customer service configuration, which was one of our primary objectives. We're much better prepared for business continuity and disaster recovery scenarios. And, again, we've lowered our total cost of ownership.
Well, since that, and in comparing this to the previous solution, what are some of the changes that you saw or see as a result of switching to a virtual contact center?
Well, again, aside from the improved customer service metrics and processes, which obviously are key and very big, just to mention it again, our agent satisfaction has significantly improved. Our agents love the integrated multi-channel platform and the integration with our CRM system.
Well, let's kind of take a moment to talk about some of the key lessons learned. And I know we've got quite a few questions in the queue for you and for Wendell, so I'll let you go ahead with this one here.
Sure. So, I've outlined 4 primary lessons learned here, and most of these they're fairly standard for IT projects, but they're worth mentioning. Again, as I mentioned, keeping key stakeholders involved early and throughout the process is key. Change is always difficult, and having the business side drive the initiative as opposed to IT driving it always helps in adoption. Infrastructure evaluation, this is always a critical one for SaaS platforms, especially when there's VoIP involved. Just really, you need to take the time, and from any location you're going to be using this solution from, you want to make sure that you have sufficient bandwidth and quality of service. Those are some critical aspects. One consideration or one lesson learned that may not be considered initially is regulatory issues. Some countries regulate VoIP and related technologies and can block or delay or severely delay your project. So this is something to consider ahead of time and take into consideration. And business process management. So I mentioned a little bit about that, but ultimately some issues are really related to process, not necessarily the technology being used. So re-engineering these processes may be a critical component of the project.
Fantastic. We're going to have you back in just a second. We've got quite a few questions, but folks, we now want to ask you, based on John's discussion, he talked about some of the information technology challenges. I'm going to launch our third and final poll. And what we'd like to know from you is, what is the level of your contact center integration with your CRM system? Just go ahead and choose which one of these apply. The first one being, these systems are fully integrated today. You don't have any integration today, but you're planning to within 3 to 6 months. Or you're planning to integrate in the future and are currently researching, but no plans to integrate these systems. And we'll wait till we get the votes in, and then have Wendell and John back. So I'll go ahead and keep the polls open for just a little bit longer. And we really thank you for taking the time to give us your input. This is very, very helpful. So it looks like we have a few more seconds left on the clock. I'll let everybody who hasn't voted, if you would just take a moment to give us your input. And then I'm going to call Wendell back, and then John. So it looks like everybody who has voted is in there. So let me go ahead and close that, and we'll share the results. And as you can see, 21% say these systems are fully integrated, 17% no integration today, planning to integrate, 50% planning to integrate in the future, currently researching, 12% no plans to integrate these systems. Well, thank you very, very much for that. And I'm sure some of you would like to know how to get started. So Wendell, would you mind stepping back for just a moment and let folks know how they could get started and find out more about virtual contact centers? And then stay up with your mic, because I'm going to call John back, and we're going to start jumping into all these wonderful questions we have. So Wendell, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, great, thanks. I think that John outlined a great strategy for considering how to go about making a virtual contact center selection, and involving the user community and everyone that's a stakeholder into the process. That is, I think, really key, because as you go through the project, then you've got the buy-in of everybody to be able to execute and generate the kind of results that you're out there looking for in the business. So that's paramount in my mind in terms of getting the right people involved. At Contactual, we offer many options for you to see how a virtual contact center can positively impact your business and the way you serve customers. The business drivers are varied. We talked about different cost of ownership or return on investment models that people are using to evaluate that. But perhaps the drivers in your business, are more in the go virtual, home-based, or other kind of working arrangement across multiple locations. However, you're coming at a project like this, Contactual can help find a way for you to receive the benefits that we've discussed in the session today. And to get more information or to contact one of our sales professionals, you can initiate that inquiry at our website at www.contactual.com. And we'll follow up with you via chat or email or phone call, off of the site. Just make a request, and we'll help you get it started down this process.
Thanks, Wendell. Well, John, if you'll step back up to the mic, we're going to now take the questions that the audience has been sending in. And John, this one is for you. What are the main challenges in managing remote agent workforce, and how did TradeCard overcome them?
Well, Mike, I think again it goes back to flexibility and being able to adapt to business continuity type challenges that may come up. You know, implementing Contactual really gave us a flexible solution where we can easily reroute calls or reroute agents based on any scenario that comes up. We're no longer tied down to specific locations and infrastructure. So I think that, you know, that is a challenge, and I think Contactual is a great way to attack that.
Great. Wendell, with regards to the last poll we just had on integration into CRM, a couple questions here. I'm going to toss these to you. The first one is, how does Contactual handle CRM integration? And as part of that, it's actually a multi-part question. How does Contactual handle CRM integration, and does it integrate with Salesforce? And then go ahead and answer that, and I'll ask you the other parts of it.
Sure. So just to take the last part first there, Salesforce is actually a radio button that you check inside of the configuration setup of Contactual, and it is a quick setup on the App Exchange, and you are often running with an integrated solution between Salesforce and the Contactual media management. So piece of cake to be able to deploy, and that's really one of the key things around fast and easy deployment. And John, of course, talked about NetSuite. We can work with both thin and thick client kind of applications with built-in set of documented application programming interfaces or APIs that allow us to attach to and do screen pops and data dips to other CRM apps, whether they're off the shelf or internally developed. So very flexible in terms of how we're able to help you leverage different agent working environments across vertical markets and industries.
Well, I think you answered in your response there. The second part of the question was, does the integration allow for screen pops, saving call chat logs, and creating follow-up tasks? If there's anything else you want to add to that, go for it.
Yeah, I just say it. Those are things that when we design the the product and work with the CRM partners, we want to make it fast and easy and repeatable from a deployment perspective. So again, provisioning is check a button in in our provisioning tool, and you're ready to start passing data between the applications, and that's key in our fast, easy deployment strategy. And how we help customers go to market this way.
Well, the final part of the question, Wendell, is what is the integration timeline?
Well, I think John represented in his case it was a couple hours of work. Yeah, it kind of depends on the complexity of where you might want to take integration. I mean, you can certainly take longer, but it can be as fast as a couple hours, and you're doing screen pops. So we look forward to working with customers to to refine it and determine what are their needs to to get started, and then how might they want to do things more elegantly over time.
Thanks, Wendell. John, here's a question from one of our folks in the audience. Several parts. Where are your agents located, and how many locations? And the second part is, what kind of metrics were used to ensure remote resources are doing what they need to be doing? So the first part is, where are your agents located and how many locations?
Well, Mike, we have 3 primary service hubs. We have one in North America, we have one in the Asia Pac region, and we have one in Middle East Asia. So we have 3 primary service hubs working our customer service. Again, we're a global organization, so these calls are coming from various regions throughout the world. And again, going back to Contactual, it offers a very powerful reporting tool, and it really helps you to measure whatever your core call center metrics might be. So it's very powerful in that way.
And can you give us a little bit more on what kind of metrics were used and how you were able to ensure that your resources who were virtual are really doing what they were supposed to be doing?
Well, again, Mike, The Contactual platform itself is very flexible in the way you can report on various metrics, the way you can monitor various metrics. Some of them, one of the nice features, you can set up SLA alerts based on your core metrics and guidelines that you want to follow. So your standard call center type metrics, call abandonment, hold time, all that sort of thing. And you could also report on agents' connectivity to the system. So whenever they take a break, they mark themselves down as having a break, and you're able to basically report on all these metrics, which is, again, for us, it's powerful because we had this siloed, disconnected system where we really couldn't aggregate this data and report on it all across all our support hubs, and Contactual really allows us to do that.
Thanks, John. Wendell, here's a question for you. Do you know if virtual call centers have been used as a successful alternative to completely outsourcing a call center?
Oh, most definitely, because I think that what customers find many times is that, considering the outsourcing objective, their primary objective is to lower, the investments they have to make from capital expense into infrastructure, and they want to move that out. The secondary driver is frequently trying to find a lower cost of labor, to be able to push that out of the organization cost model. But what they find is if they take a good look at a virtual contact center is that they can leverage already talented, skilled labor, their current employees, look at them from a virtualized fashion in a home-based environment, for example. They can still drive the infrastructure cost out, but they get the benefit of more knowledgeable, dedicated and committed resources that now they can manage on a more flexible work schedule as an at-home worker. So they get skilled people at the same or lower costs than they could go into an outsourcer, and they don't have to spend money on capital. So it's a winning proposition all across the board.
Great. And while you're up, another audience member wants to know, is call recording available?
That's a standard feature in our platform to allow a customer to record not only for quality purposes, but perhaps they've got regulatory reasons that they need to record 100% of certain kinds of calls. So we provide for that kind of feature as well. Customer then has a decision for how long do they want to keep it, and that's what drives the the cost basis of adding recording. But one option allows the customer to actually take the audio back and store it in their own file servers, and lower their costs with Contactual for that kind of service.
Thanks, Wendell. John, here's a question. How do you handle preset holidays or other pre-planned outages to your call center?
Well, Mike, again, that's one of the big key elements of Contactual. The system is configurable by your business users, so they can build whatever logic they need into the system to cover holidays, pre-planned outages, and whatnot. And it's not a major undertaking. IT doesn't have to be involved. You don't have to get involved with your service providers. It's just really out-of-the-box functionality.
Well, with that, another audience member wants to know, can you provide some tips on how to best manage multiple shifts and split shifts within a remote workforce?
Sure. I mean, I think that really is related to the previous question. Again, the interface for configuring Contactual, your IVR scripts and your coverage queues and assigning agents to different queues it's very simple to master, and again, just leveraging that power allows you to manage, based on your shifts and your locations, how your agents are going to work. So it really does allow you to be very flexible in that manner.
Thanks, John. Wendell, one of our audience members wants to know, what are the basic connectivity requirements a home-based agent must have to connect to a cloud?
Most network connections today from a home-based worker are going to be using high-speed internet. kind of connection. So you have a deployment choice as to whether or not you want to run everything over the internet, leveraging voice over IP and a soft phone in the computer, and use their cable modem or DSL kind of service as a home-based worker. Or you can do a blended where they use the browser on their PC and the plain old telephone line that they have at home, and route calls over the the public phone network that way. Just dialing their home number is the the agent connection. We have customers that go both of those directions in terms of deployment. So it really kind of depends on you as a customer which way you want to go. One of the things that John mentioned earlier that I think is maybe an important note is that agents are not locked into either one of those scenarios, and in fact you can empower your agent so that they might be working in the office today on their desk telephone and working at home tomorrow on their voice over IP soft phone. Those choices are up to you to decide how you want to make them available and what kind of working relationship you want to have with your agents.
Okay, John, one of our audience members wants to know, how long did it take TradeCard to build the IVR scripts for your call center?
Well, Mike, it was it was a fairly simple process. The interface, it's object-oriented type interface to build the IVR script. So really, once your business side defines how they want the flow to go, it's very quick and easy to build these out. And really, IT was minimally involved. Our business users, again, were able to pick this up and configure the system the way they needed it and reconfigure it over time on their own. So, very simple process.
Well, here's a question that I'm going to toss out to both of you. An audience member says, I believe this type of solution would deliver a lot of value to my company, but quite frankly, I need some guidance on what you would suggest to convince my management that this is in their best interest and it's in the right direction. How do you suggest I build my case? What are some things that each of you can talk about as far as building the business case for this type of an application? You want to go first, John?
Sure, Mike. So, again, from TradeCard's perspective, when we took on this initiative, it was more of a service improvement type initiative. It wasn't necessarily a cost reduction, but as in most IT projects, there's always a cost containment component to it. So, really depending on what your requirements are, basically, if you have those requirements defined by your business stakeholders and you're letting them drive it, and you compare Contactual to other types of solutions, I think that you can easily make the case that it gives you the enhanced functionality that you want at probably one of the lowest total costs of ownership out there.
Thanks, John. Wendell, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I just say I think that when you look inside your own organization, you'll find that you gravitate one way or the other in terms of managing the cost side, so more of the total cost of ownership angle, or a return on investment. What kind of incremental revenue or service level or other aspect of your business can you achieve through deploying a new technology? So understanding your culture and how those kind of decisions get made and evaluated, lead you to a path then, of proving out, those TCO or ROI metrics, that's going to sell the project up your management chain. And it could be a combination of both. You've got to figure out with your own organizational culture, and then you're in great shape to take it to the next level and convince them that you're either going to make their business more efficient and effective and lower cost, or you're going to increase revenue or calls handled or other service related metrics that create a higher ROI. All of those things can play in the decision making process.
Well, thanks, Wendell. Thanks, John. And I want to let everyone in the audience know that we thank you all for joining us. We're just about the end of the webinar, and we really, really appreciate your time. And Special thanks to John Bocelli of TradeCard and, of course, Wendell Black, our sponsor with Contactual, for joining today's webinar. Again, you're all going to be receiving a short survey in just a moment. It'll pop up in your browser. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes to fill it out and let us know how today's webinar met your expectations. You'll also be receiving a copy of today's webcast through an email where there'll be a link for an on-demand viewing. That should be coming out the beginning of next week. So keep an eye on that. And as always, I'd like to thank our audience, but our logistics producer, Patty Van Hooser, who does tremendous work behind the scenes to help collaborate and make today's webinar a success. And as your moderator, this is Mike Agron, thanking you again for joining us and wishing you a great rest of the week. And we hope to see you on another Contactual webinar. Bye for now.